Dear friends and colleagues, scaffolding is a critical activity. Scaffolding erection, dismantling, or alteration is the job of competent, qualified, and experienced workforce, scaffolders. Once there is the demand for competency and qualification, training need will matter. Scaffolding staff, either they are supervisors, inspectors, or scaffolders, they should be trained. They should be well aware of their roles and responsibilities, and as per the legal and technical requirements. This is the training that will advise you on how to protect yourself from electrical hazards, fall hazards, falling object hazards, and you must know the scaffold's load capacities, how to handle materials on the scaffold, and how to use the scaffolding structure. Hey, this is Javed. We are talking about scaffolding safety. What are the scaffolding hazards? How many types of tags, and what is the importance of tags in the scaffolding structure, and how to inspect the scaffolding, whether it is safe, unsafe, workable, or not. You are on the platform of Safety First Life. I have changed the channel name. Safety means, first of all, to protect, to save life. This is the priority number one. If you are new on this channel, kindly subscribe Safety First Life and press the bell icon. If you find the video informative, then like, comment, and share with your colleagues and friends. Let us make a short introduction of scaffolding. It should be understood that scaffolding is an extremely important precise structure in which intelligence will never fail. A lot of this misuse could be avoided by stricter supervision on site. Safety should be everyone's business, from management down to workers. Accidents not only cause injury and pain, they can also kill. And there is always the loss of productivity to be considered. The accident involving scaffolding are not always due to faulty construction, but also misuse and by being tampered with inexperienced people. Do you know what are the hazards in scaffolding? The major faults or hazards might be removing boards from working platforms, taking braces out at the platform levels, removing handrails and toe boards, taking ladders away from their original locations, failing to stack materials properly. Employees working on scaffolds are exposed to these hazards. Falls from elevation, struck by falling tools, debris, electrocution, scaffold collapse, and plunking failure. Once there is construction activity, there are dozens of hazards, but we have to work safely. What to do to work safely in scaffolding? Be wise, be safe, and never sorry. Ignorance is no moral defense. Don't stand on ties. Guardrails are extensions. Don't overreach outside the guardrails. Stay off scaffold during loading or unloading. Replace guardrails after loading or unloading. Use 3-point climbing. Don't hang traps without evaluation. Exit mobile scaffolds before moved, and always wear fall protection to avoid accidents. These are the basic safety precautions while you are working on a scaffolding structure. Either you are a scaffolder or you are a carpenter. Dear friends And fellows, let us start discussing different hazards separately. How electricity can affect workers on a scaffolding structure. To avoid electrocution, clearance between scaffold equipment and power lines is crucial to worker safety. Safe distances must be kept between energized lines and conductive material. Clearances must be maintained when scaffolds are erected, used, dismantled, altered, or moved. Before work starts, the utility company, electricity company, or electrical system operator can either de-energize the power lines, relocate them, install protective coverings to prevent accidental contact with the power lines. Welding is also a possibility on a scaffolding structure for different activities. How to maintain welding safety in a scaffolding structure. Be aware of hazards of welding current arcing through the suspension wire rope when welding from suspended scaffolds. Use an insulated thimble to attach each suspension wire rope to its hanging support. Insulate any excess suspension wire rope or other independent lines. Insulate the suspension wire rope at least 4 feet 1.2 meter above the hoist. If there is a tail line below the hoist, insulate it to prevent contact with the platform. Retain or guide the portion of the tail line that hangs free below the scaffold so that it doesn't become grounded. Use insulated protective covers to cover each hoist. In addition to a work lead attachment required by the welding process, use a grounding conductor between the scaffold and the structure. These all are the points. Those are related to welding safety, but relevant once you are working on a scaffold. If the scaffold grounding lead is disconnected at any time, the welding machine must be shut off. Keep active welding rods or uninsulated welding leads from contacting the scaffold or its suspension system. This is the way how you can maintain welding safety. A major hazard is falling while you are working on a scaffolding structure. Here the question is how to avoid fall from height. Each employee on a scaffold more than 10 feet above a lower level must be protected from falling to that lower level. There are two types of fall protections. Number one, personal fall arrest system, FPAS, and number two, guardrail system. Different types of scaffolds require different types of fall protection. Let us discuss now personal fall arrest system. What are the requirements or where it will be used? FPAS are required for employees on a boatswain chair, catenary scaffold, float scaffold, needle beam scaffold, and ladder jack scaffold. Both a PFAS, personal fall arrest system, and a guardrail system is required for single point or 2-point adjustable suspension scaffolds. You have to remember, crawling boards, chicken ladders need either a personal fall arrest system or guardrail or 3/4-inch diameter grab line or equivalent handhold securely fastened beside the crawling board. Self-contained adjustable scaffolds that have the platform supported by the frame require a guardrail system. Self-contained adjustable scaffolds with a platform supported by ropes require both a PFAS, personal fall arrest system, and a guardrail system. Guardrail systems must be used to protect walkways within a scaffold. Have a look. This is an example of guardrail system. It contains a toe board, A platform, vertical posts. Allowable distance between the posts should not exceed 8 feet. And there are two horizontal lines. This is mid-rail halfway, and at the top, this is top rail. Top rail and mid-rails are always supported by the posts when the front edge of the platform is more than 14 inches away from the face of the structure. This edge requires a guardrail. Our workers must use a personal fall arrest system. Personal fall arrest system means a full body harness with double lanyard. The personal fall arrest system must meet the requirements in the regulation on fall protection. Reference 29 CFR 1926.502 Delta. When used on a scaffold, attach the PFAS personal fall arrest system to a vertical or horizontal lifeline or to a structural member. When vertical lifelines are used, they must be anchored to a safe fixed point. They must be independent of the scaffold, and they must be protected from sharp edges and abrasion. Dear friends and colleagues, horizontal lifelines must be secured to two or more structural members of the scaffold, looped around both suspension and independent suspension lines above the hoist and brake. Vertical lifelines, independent support lines, and suspension ropes must not be attached to each other. Vertical lifelines, independent support lines, and suspension ropes cannot use the same anchorage point. Remember, guardrail systems must be installed along all open sides and ends of the platforms. Requirements for how high the top rail must be above the platform surface, and for the use of mid-rails, screens, mesh, intermediate vertical members, and solid panels as part of a guardrail system. The guardrail system must be able to withstand force as specified in the regulation. Guardrail components must be surfaced so they don't cause puncture wounds, lacerations, and snagged clothing. Here, you have to consider protection from falling objects. This is also an example of potential hazard that is related to scaffolding. Employees must be protected from falling hand tools, debris, and other small objects. Protection is gained through the installation of toe boards, screens, guardrail systems, debris net, catch platforms, canopy structures that contain or deflect the falling objects. These all are the different ways or the methods how you can capture falling objects prior a falling object converted into an accident, injury, or fatality. When the falling objects are too large, heavy, or massive to be contained, keep objects away from the edge of the surface or the structure. Barricade areas to protect the employees working below from the hazards of falling tools, materials, or equipment. Install a toe board along the edge of platforms more than 10 feet above low levels. Protect the workers below when equipment or materials are piled to a height above the top rail or a toe board on a scaffold platform. Another important aspect of scaffolding is load capacities. It is crucial to stay within the scaffold's load limits. Scaffolds must be designed by a qualified person. Scaffolds must be constructed and loaded in accordance with that design. Each scaffold and scaffold component must be able to support its own weight at least 4 times the maximum intended load applied or transmitted to it. It is up to the worker to understand and stay within the capacities of the equipment. Don't make arbitrary changes to a scaffold structure. Any modifications can affect the scaffold's capacity and stability. Scaffolds and scaffold components must now be loaded in excess of their maximum intended loads or rated capacities, whichever is less. Dear friends and fellows, you are on the platform of safety, first to preserve, protect life. Today, we are targeting scaffolding hazards and safety precautions. Another important aspect, how to handle materials on scaffolding structure. Any materials taken onto the platform must be handled properly and wisely. Don't allow debris to accumulate on platforms. If materials start to pile up above toe boards, the scaffold may need additional falling object protection. Secure any liquid or powdery materials to guard against spills. Take extra precautions in windy conditions. During storms or high winds, a competent person must determine if it is safe for employees to be on the scaffolding structure. Use taglines or equivalent measures to control any swinging loads that are being hoisted onto or near scaffolds. As I told you, scaffolding is a critical activity. It's a high-risk task. It needs inspection. Time to time, let us discuss what are the inspection requirements for a scaffolding structure. Inspect scaffolds and scaffold components for visible defects before each shift. Inspect scaffolds after any occurrence that could affect a scaffold structural integrity. Early detection of structural defects is important. Look for hairline cracks. Ensure that structural defects in platforms are not covered from view. Platforms may not be covered with opaque finishes. Platforms may be coated with wood preservatives, fire retardant finishes, and slip retardant finishes. Platforms' edges can be marked to show identification, grading, or similar types of marks. Inspect ropes for defects prior to each work shift and after every occurrence that could affect a rope's integrity. Before a suspension scaffold is used, inspect the direct connections, bolts. Inspect and retighten wire rope clips at the start of each work shift. This is the way how you can inspect scaffolding structure. I'll go in depth in the upcoming video how to identify faults, how to identify hazards physically and practically on a scaffolding structure. Let us start here. The handling damaged components, those are related to a scaffolding structure. Damaged or weakened scaffolds must be immediately repaired or replaced, braced, or removed from service until repaired. On suspension scaffolds, ropes must be replaced if any of the following conditions exist. Any physical damage that impairs the function and strength of the rope. Kinks that might impair the tacking or wrapping of rope around the drum or sheep. 6. Randomly distributed broken wires in one rope lay or 3 broken wires in one strand in one rope lay. Abrasion, corrosion, scrubbing, flattening, or peening causing loss of more than 1/3 of the original diameter of the outside wires. Heat damage caused by a torch or any damage caused by contact with electrical wires. Evidence that the secondary brake has been activated during an overspeed condition and has engaged the suspension rope. This is the list of possible faults, hazards, how you can identify and handle damaged components of a scaffolding structure. Dear friends and fellows, let us discuss now how to make safe access to a scaffold platform. When scaffold platforms are more than 2 feet above or below a point of access, means of access include portable ladders, hook-on ladders, attachable ladders, stair towers, stairway type ladders, ramps, walkways are integral prefabricated scaffold access. Direct access from another scaffold structure, personal hoist or similar surface. Cross braces cannot be used as a means of access. There is also a possibility of hazards of using materials to increase scaffold height. Remember, don't use makeshift devices such as boxes and barrels to increase the working level height. Ladders must not be used on scaffolds to increase the working level height except on large area scaffolds. A large area scaffold is erected over substantially the entire work area. A pole scaffold, tube and coupler scaffold, systems scaffold, fabricated frame scaffold. I will go in depth about the types of scaffold in the upcoming video. You will understand in detail what is the difference in different types of scaffolds. Ladders may be used on large area scaffolds if the ladder is placed against a structure that is not a part of the scaffold. Scaffold has been secured against the sideways thrust exerted by the ladder. Platform units are secured to the scaffold to prevent their movement. Ladder legs are on the same platform or other means is used to stabilize the ladder against unequal platform deflection. And lastly, ladder legs are secured to prevent them from slipping or being pushed off the platform. These are the different conditions and these are the different ways how you can prevent, how you can avoid using materials to increase scaffold height. That is not safe to do. It might lead to a potential accident, injury, or fatality. Let us discuss sharply what is the working procedure on a scaffold. At the beginning of each shift, workers using the scaffolding shall check that the scaffold is built safely and meets with all working requirements. They have to verify that the base of the scaffold is sound, level, and in adjustment, sills, screw jacks, and bases. Legs are plumb and all bases are installed. All cross members are leveled. All ties are in place and secure. All planks, decks, guardrails, and necessary toe boards are secured and in good condition. These were the requirements prior to access scaffolding structure. But when you are working on scaffolding, you must climb the scaffolding using the proper means and will never climb on the braces. You have to maintain good housekeeping in all areas. You have to verify that a suitable means of raising and lowering equipment and material is used. And never remove any guardrails, even temporarily, without consent of their supervisor, and 100% fall protection is required. Have a look in the slide. This is an example how you can remove a temporary component of a scaffold, but with the consent of scaffolding supervisor. You should be 100% tie off. Personal fall arrest system should be activated wisely and in a workable manner. And remember, workers will never remove any structural part of the scaffold without first checking with the project supervisor or Superintendent: never place a load on a scaffold greater than its design capacity. Never rest on or place equipment or material on the guardrails. Never undermine the base of the scaffold. Never stand on scaffold horizontal members, cross braces, to attain a higher work elevation. This is unsafe and there are chances of fall from height. Tagging is important to maintain scaffolding safety. There are 3 tags: red, yellow, and green. I'll discuss one by one. First of all, we'll discuss the red tag. This is the symbol or sign of danger, unsafe for use. Where red tag is pasted on a scaffolding structure, you will not make any access to that particular scaffolding structure. Red tags will be used during erection or dismantling when the scaffolding is left unattended, and replace all green safe for use tags or yellow caution hazard tags in the event of a scaffold has been deemed unfit for use. But whenever the scaffold has been modified to meet work requirements and as a result could present a hazard to the user, yellow tag will be used, and yellow tag will indicate special requirements for use safely. Green tags mean it's safe for use. Green tags will be hung only on a scaffold that have been inspected and are safe for use, and it should be attached to the scaffold at each access point after the initial inspection is complete. Remember, before each work shift and after any occurrence that could affect the structural integrity, a competent person must inspect the scaffold and scaffold components for visible defects. All of us always ignore or neglect housekeeping, but housekeeping is very, very important to keep the scaffolding safe. We have to maintain housekeeping here as well. There is not much room on a scaffold, so it's important to store tools and materials in an orderly fashion. Keep the platform free of obstructions. Place debris and waste material in a container or remove it from the platform immediately. Dear friends and colleagues, we have discussed different potential hazards. Those were related to scaffolding, and we also highlight how to protect workers from these potential hazards. In the upcoming video, you will learn about the different types of scaffolding, their configuration, and technical information in detail. That's all for now. Training session related to scaffolding safety, part 3 is over. If you have any question, please ask in the comment section. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and share the video. Hope to see you soon with a new HSC tutorial. Till then, take care, good luck, and Allah Hafiz.